welcome back to the Meeple Marathon. Today we are going to learn how to play Harmonies. This is a new game from Lillebud by Johan Benvenuto. This is a really nice, very fast playing, very casual, almost serene game in which you are kind of building up the landscape and then placing nature into that landscape. But it's somewhat abstract, but it utilizes these beautiful colored discs here. So this is a tile placement game, but your tiles are these wooden discs, and these represent, you know, flowery areas or grassy areas, treetops essentially, and the wood that helps create the trees is the brown, mountains or earth as the gray, and then the red are buildings. The objective of the game is to just score the most points, and you're going to do that in two ways. The first way here is if we take a look at our reference card, certain trees will score you points. A tree just by itself will score you 1. A tree that is medium height will score you 3, and a tree that is super tall will score you 7. So essentially, if I have 2 brown discs with a green disc on top, that is a tall tree and is worth 7 points. Let's look back at our card here. Same thing with mountains. Mountains that are not linked, that's what this symbol here means, not linked to other mountains, ones that stand alone by themselves, are not worth any points, but a single mountain is worth 1, a mountain 2 high is worth 3, and a mountain 3 high is worth 7. And here we go, flowery fields that are not linked together are not worth anything. But then as soon as you get at least 2 together and then next to something, they're worth 5. Then we have buildings. You get more points for buildings the more different stuff is around them, as long as it's 3 or more. So if you have 2 or less unique things around your buildings, it doesn't score you anything. But as long as you have 3 or more unique things around your buildings, you're going to score 5. And rivers score for all of the number of them connected in a line. So this is a reference card. It's double-sided, and you can see here is the blue side. This side is just a different side of the board. When you play, you guys can decide, do I want to play on the blue side? You can see that this side is a little more horizontal, and this one's a little more square. But otherwise, they play exactly the same. This is really just to help you identify which side of the board you're playing on. And the only difference is that the water plays slightly differently on the backside. So we have our player board here, and there's not just that's not the only way you can score points, is what you've placed on your board. The other way is the animals that you add to your habitats here. So on your turn, you will have the opportunity to bring down one of these cards or add them to your personal little tableau here. And then what that is saying is that you are attempting, if I were to say pull down this meerkat one in the savannah, I'm attempting to create this setup on my board. So that would be a, you know, grassy area next to a mountain range. So if I take this here and have this on my board, I would then be able to take one of these cubes and place it on my board, and I'm going to score for that. The more I do, the higher my score is going to be. And what's nice about this one in particular is that you could continue to just add mountain ranges outside this one little savanna field, and it's still matching it, because this can be rotated, spun around. Now, there are certain conditions that you can't alter. For example, here, this bird that lives in this swampy land, I guess, has to be in a tall tree. So it has to be in a tree that is 1, 2, 3 discs high. If the tree was only 1 brown disc underneath it, you cannot put that bird in that tree. So this is the other way that you can score points, is specifically building out your land to match one of these, and then be able to place one of these tokens on it. This just represents an animal in your habitat. So that's a general overview of the game. At the end of the game, most points scores wins. So on your turn, there are several optional things you can do, and there is one requirement you have to do. Your requirement is to take one of the sets of discs that are out here. So each one of these spots holds 3 discs. You have to take a set, say that, or a different set. You can't pick and choose. And you have to place them onto your board. They can go wherever you want on your board, and you can begin stacking them as long as the stacking, like you can't stack stuff on top of buildings unless it's another building, and you can't stack on top of the top of a tree, things like that. Very straightforward. But you take your set, you place them out, then your options are to, if you want to, pull down or add one of these cards to your personal tableau, and you can see that your board can hold up to 4 cards. That's the maximum you can have. And once you've completed a card completely, it moves off to the side, so you can remember to score it, but it makes room for more cards. The last thing you can then do is, if you have these, which are going to, as you pull down a card, are going to be placed on here. So let's say I think I can create this setup here, and I can do it 3 times, and that's going to be a big payout. That's going to be 18 points. I will add this to my tableau. As soon as I do, I'm going to go ahead and place these 3 cubes on there to remind me that I can do this up to 3 times. And say I do it once, I place my cube on it, I do it twice, I place my cube on it, but then I never get to be able to create the third setup like this. I'm only going to score 11 points for this card. So keeping that cube on there is reminding me, oh, I only did this twice. So I'm not going to get to score for anything I didn't pull off. And this is whatever the highest score that's uncovered. So this is not 16 at the end of the game. This is just 11. But you would, as soon as you pull it down, you would add the discs to it. And then you could immediately take one off and add it to what you have created here. If a card is taken, and you can only take 1 per turn, but you could, on your first 4 turns, pull down 4 cards. If an empty spot is created, you just simply replace it with the next one there. A little beginner's note, it is recommended that if you are new to the game, you don't try and have more than one of the, see how this one is yellow? That's just saying you're placing the disc on a yellow, or you're placing the cube on a yellow disc. This one is gray, you're placing the cube on the gray disc. They recommend not having more than 1 color card in your tableau when you first start playing out, because it is tricky. You're competing, your animals are competing over the same environment per se. Makes it a little more difficult. These white cubes here we will talk about in just a second. But that's it. You are simply just going around the table on your turn. You are taking a set of 3, and as soon as your turn is over, or usually we like to say if your turn is next, you go ahead and dive into the bag, you pull out 3 more discs blindly and add them to that empty spot. There's no priority to this. The only reason there is an arrow here is just to simply point to who the first player is. So when the game is triggered, or the game end is triggered, we know that everybody gets 1 last turn. The game end is triggered in one of 2 ways. 1, this bag is empty, and when you go to refill one of these spots, you cannot refill it. That's going to trigger the end of the game. Everybody gets 1 more turn. Good to go. The most common way, however, is that someone who is playing has filled up their board to the point that there is 2 or less empty spots. So right now my entire board is empty, but I may fill up all of this and have just 2 spots here remaining at the end of my turn. That would trigger the end of the game. Everybody would get 2 more points. 1 more round, sorry, and then we would add up the points. That's the most common way of triggering the end of the game. So that's the basics. You have just learned how to play Harmonies. Obviously, there's a lot of strategy in what you go after, and do you go after the ones that are easy to score but are not worth as less points, or do you go after the big ones that are harder to create, that are worth more points? Do you focus solely on just building up your structures, having tall mountain ranges and long rivers, and not care about animals so much? So there's multiple strategies to winning. I already talked about the back side of the board here, so you can play with that side. There's also a second set of cards, of animal cards. Now these have a white back. They're very specific, or very different in a way, and you can see that there's not very many of them. If you want to play with this module, and this is a more advanced module, you will deal 2 of these out to each player at the beginning of the game. They keep them, they can look at them, but they keep them, that's hidden information. After their first turn, so they get to go around, if you're playing, a larger game, everybody gets to go around and like see how they're, what landscape they're starting to build first before they make their decision. But let's just say this is one of people's favorites here, the one that's from the cover of the box. And we'll just go mountain goats because it's two different animal types. But these are like the majestic special animals. The tortoise, which I kind of imagine that there's some kind of small city growing on his back, or the stag-like wolf, and these are the more fantastical creatures. So you're going to be given 2 at the beginning of the game. After your first turn, you have to choose one, return the other one to the box. This is where your white cube comes in. So these not white, clear cubes. You'll place this up here. Once you have created this landscape here, so in this case it would be, this and this and this. So if I've created this, I can then, as an optional thing, take this off and place it there. So I can't place any other animals there. I cannot place an orange cube there. That spot is taken. But since I have completed this card, for the rest of the game and for endgame scoring in particular, these 3 setups are going to score me differently. Or for example, the lion here allows me to score 2 points for a flower space all by itself. And it's going to score me 10 points. This is double the normal set of points. Well, not double, because the other one only requires 2. But, it basically scores differently. Here you can see that the mountain goat allows you to score for mountain ranges that are not connected at least 2 high or 3 high. Now, you have to create a connected one first to place him in, but then he will allow you to score points for mountain ranges that are just by themselves. So this... I do like these because it helps give you a little bit of direction, especially if you're lost, more so than this. But it also, what it gives you is a different scoring criteria that is unique to you come the end of the game. So one that people may not necessarily be paying attention to. Sometimes it's easy to look across and be like, okay, I see that, I see this in front of them, so I see that they're going to want to, he's already got his one flower position. He's going to want to just get lots of rocks and surround this flower with it. So I may, hate draft him and take this so that he can't get the rocks, or this one so he can't get the mountains. Those other cards make it a little bit harder to draft against someone. Especially in a 2-player game. But anyways, that's how you play that more advanced module. So it's nice that they added this in. One other thing, while we're just talking about it, I love the setup of this box here. It's cardboard, so it's not plastic. I don't feel like it's going to crack or anything like that. But they, give you this big spots for your bag, and then here's a spot for the large cards, and then a spot for the cubes, and then the boards just kind of sit on top, and it's just a very well done, simple but beautiful and well done storage solution. Just wanted to highlight that in my video here. The last thing I want to talk about is how to play this solo. So this is a game that can very easily be done solo. It's for the most part a beat your own score game. But the only difference is, and let's return this here. We're going to flip this over. So this is our solo side of the board. Also, you're only going to ever have 3 cards to choose from at a time. So we're going to do this. There we go. And we'll put all these back in here. You'll still blindly fill out these 3. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. And brown never has a print on it because it's always covered up, or you hope to always cover it up. Doesn't do you any good to not have it exposed. So on your turn, you're simply going to choose 3, add to your board, and then the rest of these are going to be put in off, you can put them back in the box. You can just make a discard pile off somewhere. They're gone for the rest of the game. So after you have, say, placed these like this, you're going to get 9 new cubes. So in the solo mode, it is more likely for you to run out of discs in the bag. There you go. Also, if you choose, if you do not pull down a creature card, if you do not pull one down and add it to your tableau, you have the opportunity to discard one. I usually just stick them at the bottom of the deck here because the deck is pretty hefty. You may not, probably won't be going through it, but so say I didn't like any of these, I can simply decide I'm done with this guy and flip over a new one there. That's it. That's all it takes to play the solo mode. You are just continuing to then focus on producing the best score you can. Now, there is an additional way to score. Here you can see in the end, the solo mode. You're attempting to score suns. So I find this one, or this interesting, because it's not just overall score, which is generally just how I play. How high of a score can I get? But here you can see there's benchmarks for scores. So you get certain suns at certain benchmarks. And then, your nature's spirit. Did you not play with the nature's spirit? You're going to get 2 suns. That just seems weird to me. And then, did you play, which side of the board did you play on? If you played on the A side, you get a sun. If you played on the B side, you did not. I guess that's to balance out the fact that there's more scoring opportunities with the water on the B side, and Nature's Spirit gives you higher scoring opportunities. But it just seems, it was a little weird to me. The solo mode, however, works perfectly fine because this is not a game that has any real player interaction. The only player interaction is that someone else could take the set of tiles that you might want or take the animal card that you might want before you can get to it. So the more people you're playing with, the longer you have to sit there and watch, certain piles disappear if the perfect one came out right after your turn, or say the perfect creature card comes out, animal card comes out, and you would really like it. Somebody else just may take it. But other than that, you're simply focused on your board. No one can touch your board or do anything to your board. No one can steal your cards in any way, shape, or form. So other than, just the fact that this has a drafting mechanic to it, there is no other player interaction. And that is it. What I can do here, and just to show things off, is just to say, hey, this is kind of what, your board might look like come the end. So maybe you got real good here at creating a river that flows around like this. You got a couple small trees, and you want to put some flowers over here. Don't leave that one alone though. Oop, and I'm gonna put this one. I'll put this right here just at the end, and we're going to create a nice tall mountain range over there. Obviously, this is not how the game is played, but it really is quite nice to look at. Maybe we'll do this, and we'll start a new river over here. I got to hope to get some more stuff. Yeah, I guess we'll make that a building. Here's another river. We're going to put a tree right here. All right, so I'm getting close to the ending the game. I'm going to put, that right there, that there, that there. And this would trigger the end of the game. I have one more round. I'm going to blindly pull 3 more out. Boom, boom, boom. And what can I do with these, if any? Let's see. Not a whole lot. I wouldn't be able to. Oh, yeah, I can. There we go. Ta-da. And then obviously there would be a scattering of these things on here. And so this is what your board is going to look like. Very harmonious, pun intended. There is one that's like, I think it's ducks. Oh yeah, ducks, here you go. They work really well because you can just build up a building unit and then put a river by it. And ducks can go in each spot of the river. I like this card. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen. That is how you play Harmonies. Hopefully this video was helpful in getting this very eloquent, low-stress game to the table for you. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. Otherwise, go enjoy playing. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.